Hey, what's good, Savage Siblings? I finally get to do the show opening. That's right, me, not her. So let's go. Let's get it. I am Andre Evans, been known as a pastor, author, professor, doctor, all of these things that God has allowed me to be. She is Anitra N. Lawson, the sister I never asked for, and that's pretty much all I got to say there. We are the Savage Siblings, and this is the Savage Siblings podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. Oh, we're so glad you guys are rocking with us again. Listen, welcome back to part 2 of What Is It To You? What's it to you? In our last episode, we were able to leave off discussing why we seek valuation and validation. And are those sources of valuation and validation good or bad? We started digging into fair partnerships and when to take the risks on yourself. If you want to learn more about the testing ground for valuation and validation and how that encourages you to take risk on yourself, then part 2 is for you. You're tuned in, so let's go. Now, before we jump into part 2, if you didn't listen to part 1, I need you to put a pause on this thing right now, and I need you to go and listen to part 1 so that you're all caught up and not lost. We have a lot more to discuss in part 2 of What's It To You. So without further ado, are y'all ready to get savage? Good. So let's get savage.
I'll throw this story out here. I was working with an actor, and he wanted to produce some web content, and we started the process, but it didn't finish. And I'm going to tell y'all why it didn't finish.
I can see where it is going.
So we're talking about fair partnership, right? Now, obviously, we all know as filmmakers and creative folks, and, budgets can, there can be small. We have small beginnings that we're going to grow to greatness. So I wasn't despising the small beginning or the small budget. We were working on building a team of people, and some of them are going to be, volunteers, some are going to be students and things like that. So my bottom line in terms of the fair partnership was, if you're going to ask students to come and intern, or if you want interns, right, you must provide meals. Typically, it's meals, copy, and credit. That means they have to be fed. That means that typically they get access to a snippet for their reel or, for their resumes. And then credit, their name is somewhere on the final product. That's standard practice. Most people said, are understanding with that. Well, this particular individual said, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed them some snacks. We'll make sure that there's plenty of, stuff for them to drink, et cetera. And I'll just make sure we have a huge kind of snack table, huge kind of craft services set up. And I said, no. We're talking about a 12-hour day. We're not going to be eating snacks 12 hours. We're going to have, at a minimum, what we call a walking breakfast, which means you can get a breakfast burrito while you're walking, and we're going to have a full hot lunch because they're working for free.
Right.
And so long story short, that didn't work. That partnership ended because it wasn't fair. Because he and his team were being paid. The core leadership were being paid, but the people that had to set up the tables, make sure the lunch was served, run the cables, that had to do all the work of actually making the set move, he felt like, and his exact words were, I don't want to feed them that way.
Right.
And you guys, this is an audio podcast, so you can't see my face, but there was a nice long pause where I just kind of looked at him. And so that's the idea, right? It was like, what? But fair partnership. So if you're trying to identify good and bad sources, is it a fair partnership? Is someone just self-serving? The flip side of those of us who are a little more selfless, right? And we don't fully understand our worth. If you don't get a handle on what my brother is saying about really understanding your value, and then you're looking at these sources, you are unprotected. Period.
Absolutely.
Because you don't, and I'm talking to myself too, this is something I continue to get stronger in terms of, being a person who's generous, who's giving, but you have to understand if it's a fair partnership, I cannot show up and offer everything, all of it, right? And gifted people understand. They'll say, well, what are you willing to bring? But if you're saying you'll do it all, you can pay me less, or I can do it for free, or I'm happy to just give and give and give, you are now unprotected. And here's the thing. When you agree to do that in a partnership, you cannot later get upset, right? When you didn't protect your sanity, when you didn't protect your health, when you didn't protect your time, your money, because you agreed to go ahead and not set boundaries. And what are boundaries for? protection. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when
Yeah.
it comes to fair partnership, it really it benefits the whole dynamic if both parties understand we want this to be fair. We want to make sure it's not one-sided. And this goes to one-sided friendships, one-sided businesses, one-sided
It does.
relationships,
It
one-sided
does.
familial relationships. And that doesn't
Yeah.
mean love is lost, but you can say, okay, you guys always call on me for Thanksgiving to cook everything, and I don't enjoy it. It's taking too much of my
Right.
time and my resource. So I'm going to do
Right.
one every 3 years, right?
Right.
That's how you create the fair partnership. And the rest of that, maybe we go into home, what's the food place? You know, one of the Ryan's or something. Maybe we go into one of
Right.
the spots where you can, you know, get all you can eat buffet. But if you don't put those boundaries in place, if you don't approach it from the standpoint of fair partnership, it's, you know, you're going to find that you're going to get abused. And so that bad
Yeah,
source
absolutely.
evaluation will take. Last thing I want to say in terms of, you know, there's a difference between value and appreciation. And I often had to learn this the hard way too. Value, you put some money with it. You put a resource with it. Appreciation is a thank you, right? It's, oh, this is really good, right? I'm going to tell one more story to really unpack this. So I have a wonderful friend who's a professional director, editor, filmmaker, and I asked him to come in to talk to one of my classes that I was teaching. And so he's talking about, you know, just being a guest artist. And so the question always comes up, should I work for free, right? And a lot of times when you're dealing with college students, high school students, the kind of blanket assumption is, oh, you're a student. You know, you got to work for free. You're learning, right? We're blessing you to come and learn for free
Right.
on our dime, right? And that's kind of the idea, or not our dime, but on our time. You get to come and be with us and learn for free. And so he told my students, he said, I never have, nor will I ever work for free. And it was shocking. We were like, whoa, okay. And, you know, everybody who's kind of more old school would be like, why did you invite him in to talk to the students, right?
Right.
They should be willing to
Right.
work for free.
How
But-
much is he getting paid?
Right,
to talk?
exactly. And so, but this is what he said. He said, I want to teach this lesson, and this goes to value and appreciation. Now, he didn't say, I don't have times where I waive my fee or waive my service or do something in kind.
Ooh, that's good. That's
He
good.
does that plenty of times. And yes, he was speaking for free in my class, right? What
Right.
he said was, I don't say I work for free. And there's two key things, and I'm going to pass it back to you, bro. This is the first thing he said, and it was like a microphone drop for us, is he said, if you go to apply at McDonald's, shout out to Mickey D's, he said, no experience, no training, no background. If they hire you, they pay you what? For your time.
Yes, they do.
You don't have any experience. You don't have any training. You don't know how to do
Yeah.
whatever they're about to ask you to do, right? And meaning
that
a
time.
person can come in and have that. Now, some have experience, some have training. So you get to what? Negotiate what you are valued at. But
Yeah.
another person that comes in that has none of that, blank, no resume, can still get hired and will still what? Be paid for their
Still
time.
be paid.
And so his bottom line was, when you say I'm willing to work for free, then people
Oh,
will
man.
appreciate you. But when you say the 20% that I know is more than the 0% that you know, and that's a true statement, and for those of us who are artists or, you know, creatives
Right.
or technical, right? It's like if you edit, if you have 20% of skill, that's more than the person that's trying to hire you. Why? Because they can't do it or they don't want to
Right.
do it, right?
Right.
That has value. And so that was his
Absolutely.
point was, you know, value says I'm willing to put a resource, some money to it, some finance to it. Appreciation says, hey, I really appreciate, I'm grateful that you're willing to do it. And I think you have both the experiences in it. But when it comes to those good and bad sources, the folks that value you and understand your worth will know the difference between value and appreciation.
That's so good. That's good. That's good. Okay. So that's valuation. And boy, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this whole episode
Right,
again,
both of us.
so I get
Unpack some.
all of that. I gotta take notes. Because listen. Ooh-wee. I gotta take notes. So that's valuation, and I think we're saying that most people struggle to move on to valuation. They struggle not just to understand their worth, but they also struggle then to make sure that their worth is I don't want to say paid, but their worth is being received, right?
Yeah.
So that's the struggle. Most
Yeah.
people stay stuck in validation.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's look at that side real quick. So we're looking at both defining validation. Why does that the only thing we seek directly or indirectly, and how do we identify good and bad sources of validation? As a core, just kind of who we are as
Yes.
psychological beings.
Yes.
All of us have this need
Yep.
to possess, to possess some type of relatedness to somebody, to something, to a group of people. That's just a fundamental need.
Yeah.
Validation says, I want to know that I am relatable. I want to know that I have this relatedness that allows me to know that everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm going through, everything that I'm experiencing was worth it. Was that I came out okay, that I'm doing okay. There's this need to have this kind of close, mutually supportive, mutually caring connection with one or group or others, right? As a matter of fact, I had to look this up. There's a study, and the results of that study kind of show that there are more people that have been, I don't know, teased, rejected, looked down upon by their peers, right? When they did something poorly, that then they were able to look at just what they did and who they are in terms of self-esteem and say, okay, I can do better, right?
Yeah.
So what validation really ought to move you to do is to want more.
That's
And
good.
to be better.
That's good.
Right? So I'm not saying that when someone teases you, because we are talking about siblings,
Right.
and much of the validation I got from Nikki, it wasn't like an attaboy. It wasn't a pat on the back.
Oh, no.
It wasn't a cheerleading.
Nope.
No. And the crazy thing is Nikki was part of the drill team, so she knew how to cheerlead. She knew how to support me. She knew how to encourage me, but that's not what I got.
You get
Most
nothing.
of the validation was, oh, that's all you got? Oh, that was well, whatever. But the reason why I can't label that as good or bad is validation. A lot of validation shows itself in your response,
Ooh,
not
there we
their
go.
review.
There we go.
Ooh, I make sure y'all heard that. Validation is about your response, not their review. Because people will always review what you did.
Yeah.
But your response is what allows you to know whether or not you're valid in what you did. Right? And so, yeah, there definitely is this portion where you got to be able to identify good and bad sources of validation. So good, right? Interaction with peers, good. Interaction with family, good. Interaction with teachers, good. Interaction with others that kind of shape your world. Here's why you know it's good. Are you shaping yourself because you honestly feel that what you did, you came out on top? You came out better than when you went in.
Yes.
Right? Because the flip side of that, if you hear the critics or hear the encouragement and you see it as invalid or you have invalidation, then what you hang on to is rejection. You hang on to the dismissal. You hang on to the thoughts that are working against you. You hang on to the feelings that are keeping you down. You hang on to the emotions that keep you going in the wrong direction and the behaviors that become habits and destroying
Pathologies
who
and-
you
yeah,
are. The
yeah.
pathologies,
That's good.
right?
That's good.
Right? So validity, and I want to heal somebody right here. Validity doesn't always come with a great job, A+, A+,
Teach.
A+.
Teach.
Sometimes criticism, it's still valid.
Ooh, there we
You
go.
know,
Yikes.
it's still valid.
Yep.
Validation comes with what do you do with what you just heard based on what you just experienced, right? Someone can come to me and say, Andre, I know you can do better because that wasn't great.
Yeah.
That's valid. Validation says, all right, let me go back, do it again, and I'm going to do it better.
Yeah.
Validation, right? I can't look at the person that gave me constructive criticism and say, oh, you a bad resource. No. The bad resource is what did you do with what they said they saw you do, right? What did you do with it? What are you moving forward to do with it? So that's, for me, is just kind of this really quick
good.
understanding of validation. Let me stop here and let you jump in.
Absolutely. And I co-sign everything you said. When I was unpacking validation and validity, I absolutely said the same thing. It's innate in the human DNA to want to be seen, heard, and recognized. That's kind of like just fundamental things for us, is that we desire to be seen, heard, and recognized, and we want, a level of recognition, affirmation. And so it's okay. It's like it's part of us. So we're going to seek it out, which is why there can be this kind of sometimes conflict between
Right.
valuation and validation. One, because validation, you feel it. You get that sense when someone
Right. You do.
recognizes you. It's usually a good feeling, right? You walk away saying, "Yeah, I feel better." And we're constantly fighting the internal turmoil of justifying ourselves and believing in who we are and overcoming negative
Right.
self-talk. So recognition is really important, and I think it's an important part of our journey in general. But we have to just be so careful, because what happens is you can now trade
Yes.
what you value or
Yeah.
your worth in pursuit of validation. And I think that's what Bro is hinting at, is I can
Absolutely.
absolutely want and desire and pursue that 6-figure, 7-figure job, but I can trade, my mental and emotional well-being for it, or
You
time with my
absolutely can.
family.
You absolutely can.
And I think it's tricky, obviously, in a capitalist society, because that definitely is what you see in front of you, is getting to the grind of that. And so I think at the core, the overarching goal is to find the harmony between
Yeah, that's
valuation
good.
and validity, not balance.
Right.
Because
The harmony.
as
That's
Andre, as you
good.
just said, there are times where you gonna have to grind and ain't getting no validation. Everything coming, you're getting
Right.
crickets,
Right.
or everything is
Right.
negative. I mean, you can think of
Right.
any major artist or filmmaker, story, like people who are content creators. They will all tell you, man, the grind was rough. Like, nobody was
Right.
listening. Nobody came to the theaters. None of the tickets sold. Nobody watched. Nobody cared.
Right.
And I had to
Right.
just keep at it, because I valued what was in me as an artist. I valued my writing. Stephen King, one of his earlier book drafts, he threw it in the trash, and it was his wife that got it out, right? And so there's
Wow.
there's part of this journey
Wow.
that says, there's going to be some seasons where nobody is validating what you're doing, what you believe,
Right.
what you're pushing for. And that's why you
Right.
have to have the harmony and understand, I'm doing this for the value. And I believe that
That's
the
it.
proper validation is
That's
going to
it.
come in the proper timing. I'm training my son, my baby boy, to open my car door. And here's the thing, for him, he's kind of like, yeah, cool, I got it. And I don't really talk to him. I talk to him about chivalry and, being a gentleman and things like that. But I understand whether he gets it now, as long as I keep training, there is going to be a moment where his future wife, where his daughters, where other women in the
Absolutely.
community and society are going to be like, you are such, and actually, thank you, Holy Spirit. I've actually heard them say that already. In his swimming classes, he'll stop and let the young girls go first. And that's something I continue to push in. And here's the reason why I bring it up in this context, is the grind is for me to keep it, because I'm, fairly independent. I'm so used to just moving stuff. So I have to actually stop to make sure he can do it. Right. But I understand that the value is, one, for me to teach my son the importance of chivalry and being a gentleman. But
Oh
it's
my
also a
gosh. You
reminder
have
for an
no idea that
unmarried
you're
woman
preaching.
to be able to say, don't forget this. So when God brings you your husband, you haven't gotten so independent that you forget what it's like for someone to open your door. And so it's a part of the grind. It's a part of the understanding that whether the validation comes right now, I value this. Our grandfather, he valued entrepreneurship. And I want to really point this out. While he kept full-time jobs working in factories with benefits
Yes.
in the union, he also valued entrepreneurship, where he did
Yes, he
cement
did.
work on the side, and he
Yeah.
taught all his brothers, because he was the oldest. Now, do you
Right.
think they wanted to do it? He told us they didn't want to do it. But eventually they understood the value of it, and the validation came when people started calling their company to come and do the cement, to come and build their pool, to come and lay out their back deck and things like that. And then they taught all of their boys and all of their cousins. And so no one wanted to do it when Grandpa was forcing them to learn how to make cement and stir
Right.
it up. And
Right.
Grandpa was very particular. He didn't play. Like, that's why
Right.
the value he put in his work and in his name, he said, we're not going to cut corners. We're not going to get cheap materials. And that was part
Ask
of
me
the
how I know.
reason. Ask me how you know,
Ask me
bro.
how
Go
I
and tell
know.
it. Go and tell it.
Listen, the summers in Dayton, Ohio were spent learning how to splack and learning how to lay down cement and learning how to roof and learning how to do electricity. I'm 9 years old, certified grown 30-year-old, don't know what I know.
He's still waiting for validation. He's still waiting for validation.
but wait, no, there's something you said. Wait, let me listen. I don't mean to interrupt where you're going, but no, you said something. I want to make sure we hear this. Validation comes with an audience. Valuation starts when the audience is gone. Y'all didn't hear what I just said. Y'all didn't hear what. And you said it though, Nick. Because most people don't move on to valuation. Why? Because they're still looking for the audience to say you're doing a good job. No, valuation comes when the audience is gone and you stay consistent with where you want to go to the next level. You'll grind when nobody's watching. Valuation. You don't need validation till the grind is over. Then you can look for the audience and say, did I do all right?
Did I do all right? Because of the
value. My, boy, looky here.
Gotta go.
Boy, look here. And you also started just kind of, we have testing grounds where we can test the valuation validation. You started that conversation, and really, one of the questions that I want everyone to kind of ask themselves is, well, who are you bringing your validation and valuation to?
Yeah.
Who you're bringing it to, because you talked about content creator, and that's part of life. I'm not a content creator. I just, I know what but there are times where I am preaching a sermon or teaching a lesson and it is quiet as all get out.
Yep.
And I'm wondering to myself,
how's it going?
Did I study the wrong word? Did I do the? Am I being seen as a false prophet? Is that a stone being thrown at me?
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering, because but in actuality, valuation says no. They're thinking about it. They're letting it sink in.
Yeah.
Why? Because you brought the valuation to the right crowd.
So good.
Right? So yes, I preach, I teach, but I don't preach and teach everywhere.
Yeah.
I hope someone heard what I just said.
Right. No.
I don't preach and teach everywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not finna lay out a whole sermon on Instagram and then look and see, did I get enough likes? Looking for validation in areas where my value isn't really of any value.
Yeah.
And so when you're testing your grounds of validation, number one, test it in the right space.
Yep.
And then to understand that the value was there before the test even started. So don't worry about what you see. Worry about the impact that it has. Worry about where it takes people.
Yeah.
And so we got to be, when we're testing these areas, we got to be real careful. We got to be real careful because I believe there's some folk that tested what they find valuable in a place where people don't find value with it. That's why I mentioned the song "No Church in the Wild" earlier.
Yeah.
Like, why am I taking a sermon to people who are non-believers? Why am I, I might be trying to sway them. Sure, I might be trying to introduce them, but I don't find validity in them, right? I'm not saying to them, hey, did what I say about God is right? I'm an atheist. Why do I care? And then all of a sudden now I'm signing in validity or in valuation. No. I'm going in the right space. I'm making sure I'm going in the right fertile ground. I'm going where God said, hey, watch this. There's a difference between non-believers and unbelievers.
That's good.
Okay?
Yep.
There's a difference between those who can value or those who will invalue. There's a difference between those who will bring validity and those who will cause you to feel invalid. There's a difference. Go where God is taking you to go. Go where you're supposed to go with these things when you're testing the ground of valuation and validity. And then you got to make sure you're taking risks on yourself, because another reason why we don't balance the two, because we're not going to take a risk. I heard something I didn't like. So instead of improving and trying again or trying something new, I'll just stay. I'm not going to do it at all. So you don't bring that balance. You're too scared, right? So I'm gonna let you jump in here as far as testing ground or taking risk.
Absolutely.
And testing your valuation or your validation.
Yeah, I think the key questions that came up for me when I was thinking about, the testing the ground is I always ask the question, is the source growth minded, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
So it's, the best recognition affirmation, it should push you to further development. It shouldn't stop.
Right.
There should be growth.
Right.
You guys have seen those shirts or those, billboards that say grow or die. And it seems kind of aggressive when you read it. But the truth is, we
But
are
it's
a
truth.
living being. If we're not growing, what are we doing? Right. And so you have to push forward. My current trainer, who I absolutely love, he's amazing. He's not only working with me in terms of fitness and proper technique, but after about a good 2 months or so of just consistently, me going and learning techniques and learning to breathe, he started talking to me about stress. And I remember when we sat down, I said, well, aren't we going to talk about diet? He said, no, yeah, we're going to talk about diet. We're going to talk about proper rest. We're going to keep talking about different techniques. He said, but the next thing is stress. And I kept thinking to him, what did that mean? He said, because if you don't get a handle on stress and start to think about the level of
That's
stress
it.
in your life,
That's
it
it.
impacts the way you exercise. It impacts the
Right.
way you eat. It impacts
Right.
the way you sleep or don't get sleep. And so
Right.
he came into that and said, yeah, you just completed 2 months. You're doing great. You've lost weight. You're looking stronger. Now we're ready to talk about stress. Because first you had to show me your commitment and dedication. Now we're going to work out the rest of the program. Here I'm thinking, just give me my flowers, my accolades, and let's move to some
Right.
weights,
Right. Right.
Let's move to some,
Right.
let me get up on the bars. Let me start slinging that CrossFit, rope or something.
Right.
And he's
Right.
like, nah, let's talk about your stress levels. And I'm like, I don't want to cry. I didn't come here to cry.
Right. 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 I
But he
love it. I
understands
love
it's
it.
a total body.
It
It's
is.
a total mind. It's a
It
total, your emotional capacity, your total being. And so
Yeah.
if it's a source and if it's a ground that's not growth minded, then you need to consider making an adjustment, right? You want to go to a
Absolutely.
growth minded testing ground, because that's the way you're going to really determine, is this something that is for you? And that is proper valuation that leads to proper validation. He wasn't interested in saying, good job on your squats, Anitra. He was saying, now let's look at some other parts of who you are. Another
Right.
key thing for me is, it should maintain your character or your worth. And so
Absolutely.
if this ground is going to take you out of character, and that's what's tricky about validation, is that it can feel good because we've already established it's innate in the human DNA to want to be seen, heard, and recognized. But if we're not careful, we'll let that recognition feel kind of too good, right? And then before you know it, you don't even realize that validation is slowly chipping away
Chipping
at
away.
your character and your worth.
It is.
One of my good friends, this was years ago, but I still remember it because it helped me really transform, my behavior. We were hanging out one day. We hadn't seen each other for a couple of months, and we're hanging out. And I guess I must have been just kind of letting some curse words go. And she finally stopped and she said, who you been hanging around?
Right.
And this is what I love about proper testing ground. She
Yeah.
didn't get into the cursing with me, and she didn't judge me, make me feel bad. Like,
Right.
girl, you're party mouth. She
Right.
just said, you've been somewhere. You've been
Right.
doing some things that are taking
Yeah.
you out of character. And that's cool
Yeah.
if that's how you want to be. But I know, Anitra, that's not your character. So she just
Right.
inquired, like, what you been doing? And it was
Right.
such a wake-up call. I was like, you're right. And then I thought about who I've been hanging around, didn't need to hang around, and make some
all that.
adjustments, right? But it's like, don't ever, whatever it is, don't ever let that validation change your character. It should maintain and improve your character. It's also, and this is more of a funny example, it's also like, when you change up your style. We've been talking about fashion earlier, and I'm guilty of this. You change up your style. Maybe you try a new dress or a new shoe, new cologne. Let you get one good compliment. Now everything in your wardrobe
Right.
then changed. Now you splashing on 20 more splashes of that cologne and killing everybody walking through the hallway. It's like, come on now. That's taking you out of character. You know you don't need to spend all that money. You got one little cute outfit. Keep it going.
Right.
Find your
Right.
way.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Don't be trying to be extreme,
Right.
right? So that's the other thing. It
Absolutely.
should maintain your character. And then the last bit is, if it encourages unhealthy comparisons, that's not a good space to work in. If you if you're hanging posters of Idris Elba and Jonathan Majors without his shirt in the room and in air quotes inspiring your husband to keep working out, that's not a good comparison. Okay? You ain't helping, boo. That ain't helping your man.
Listen.
And no, same thing for the men. Same thing for the
Okay,
men. Don't be hanging up no pictures of whoever your favorite, Alicia Keys or whatever, Tracy. Like, don't be doing it, right? That's not a
just
good
trying to admire
comparison.
God's good work on
No,
this
ain't
earth.
no
That's
admiring.
all.
No, and you ain't really helping them by encouraging. Look at how they look. No, that's not working, right? So if there's unhealthy comparisons that this, testing ground is doing, it's kind of keeping you addicted in essence. That you keep looking back at what's the next thing I need to do. What's the next thing I need? Then that's not a good space. You need to get away from that. And then lastly, does it encourage fear or does it steal your joy? And that's anything fear of missing out, because you cannot miss out on what's not ordained for you. So you never need to let fear come into that. Fear that you're not doing enough, that you're doing too little, that you are over this. Anything that encourages, that is kind of motivated or led by fear in order for you to get that validation, that's not a good space to work in.
Right.
And you want to get out of that. Or if it just steals your joy. And I remember I was going to run a marathon years ago. And now when I think about it, I only wanted to run the marathon because I wanted to be able to say, I ran a marathon. There was no other reason for me to do it.
Yeah.
And so when I started getting involved in the groups that trained for it, but when I tell you, I would be afraid if I missed it because, we got to do mile 11 this week and I can't miss it because I got to make mile 11. And I was going to REI buying the little fanny packs with the goo and the shoes and trying to practice how I was going to drink the water in 2 seconds and keep going. And after a while I said, the devil is a lie. I said, this done turned into a job and I'm stressed. I was like, I don't need to do this. I do not need to do this marathon. I had to let it go. So if it puts you into a space where it encourages fear, steals your joy, that's a good indicator that this is not this, what you need to be doing. And those testing grounds help you absolutely determine, do I need this type of validation? And is it rooted in proper evaluation? If it's not, then it's good to make a change.
Yeah, I asked, there's really just great points. For me, there's just one question I would ask to test these grounds. And that and in that question, I'd have to set the scenario that if I lost everything, so I lost my possessions, I lost my relationships, my friendships, my status, my job, my career, my accomplishments, my achievements, if I lost everything has been taken away from me and all I had was myself, I would ask myself two things. How do I feel?
That's good.
Because my feeling may tell me what I feel like I'm missing.
Oof. That's good.
And if I feel like I'm missing something, what am I going to do to fulfill, or what am I going to do to fill the void of what I'm missing? And then the second question I'd ask myself is, well, what do I have of value? And if all I've got is my mind, all I've got is a dream, then I'm going to say, now, how do I balance what I feel and how do I balance what I value, having everything taken away from me? Because that's where I am at my core, and that's where I'm willing to take a risk on myself when it comes to valuation and validation. That's where I'm willing to take a risk on myself if I've got nothing. I can't take a risk on something that's temporal. I can't take a risk because I got the money. Well, then what if you don't have the money? Right. I can't take a risk because I have the degree. Well, what happens when that degree means nothing? Can't take the risk because I've got a material. What happens when that material dissipates, fades away, becomes irrelevant?
And
are you still valid then? Are you still valid? Are you still valuable then? Right. So what do I have when I'm down to absolutely nothing and all I've got is myself? No connections, nothing. What do I have? Well, Andre, you're still very innovative. That's the value. What do I feel? I feel determined. All right, Andre, that's what's valid. Let's go. And so that's kind of what I look at when I say, what am I going to take the risk on? You got nothing, Andre. What are you going to take? Well, I'm going to take the risk on preaching the word of God.
That's right.
Okay. Your name don't mean anything. I don't care. It didn't need to mean anything. Right. You ain't got no mega church. I don't care. I didn't need to have a mega church. You didn't come from a family of preachers. I don't care. I didn't need to come from that. All I needed God to do is show me how he created me and show me why it's valid in the way that I've been created. And that's how then I take the risk on myself. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Do you want to go ahead and jump into the transformational perspective?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that. So the world, when you think about this, we're talking about validation and valuation. The world is always going to define us, right? Like that's the mindset of the counterpoint here is that we are going to be viewed and defined by the environment that we live in, whether we want to or not. So this kind of counter thought to what we're suggesting simply says, why bother trying to figure out, what my value is? Why not be a little bit more fluid with life and let life happen? Because I can't have any control to say over the way people outside of me view me. They're going to define it anyway. And when you think about people of color, unfortunately, there's been a lot of truth to that, right? When you're a person of color, people try to put stereotypes, generalizations, statistical information, I'm using air quotes with that last one, on you because of how you look, because of how you talk, because of where you come from. And so there is always this space in the society that we live in that says the world is going to define you, so don't bother trying to figure out these details. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, so the first part of that, the counterpoint is very true. The world is always going to try to tell you what you're worth. And the truth of that is you actually need the world to give you feedback.
That's good.
But don't let feedback stop your faith.
No,
Don't
that's
let
good.
feedback stop you moving forward. Validation is absolutely interdependent and relies on feedback. It also relies on encouragement. It also relies on the ability of others to see what you've gone through and see what you're able to do. The issue here with us, and this is the second part, why bother? Why, if you get to the point where you say, well, why bother? It's like you're holding the scale, but you're missing the counterweight of somebody else's perspective in your purpose.
That's it.
Right?
That's good.
So now I'm putting everything on my side of the scale and I can't balance valuation and validation because I'm putting everything on validation.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to say, oh, you said I can't do that, but I do this really well. So you know what? Let me balance the two. Let me put something of what I do really well on the value side of the scale, and let's see if I can balance it all out.
That's so good.
So the world is going to give you feedback, but that better not stop your faith in moving forward.
That's good.
Let it shape it. Let it guide it a little bit. Let it challenge you. But don't let it stop you. And that's the issue with the second part of the kind of that, why should I even do it? No, you should do it. You should go harder.
Right, you should
go further.
It's information.
Let me tell you something. I love telling people, you know what? You were right in what you thought about me. And this is why I say that. You were right in what you thought is a past tense statement. What you think about me now? You're right in what you thought about me.
Yeah.
But what you think about me now? You're right in criticizing, but what you think about my accomplishment now?
Yeah.
You're right in what you felt.
Yeah.
but what's the emotion you're experiencing now? Because I have the ability to take validation in all of its forms and find value in the criticism, find value in the critique, find value in whatever I find value both in the character assassination as well as the character affirmation.
That's so
I
good.
find value because I'm going to turn it into something of value that moves me further into whatever it is I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. I'm called to do. But again, too many people are only putting everything on the validation side of the scale. Too many people are making sacrifices of what's valuable because they're hanging on to the wrong validation.
Yeah.
And the problem that arises when you do that is that it's not possible for you to see value when you have failed, see value when you've been knocked down, see value when you've been hurt. In other words, if all I do is I put the opinions, the approval, the recognition of someone else over what I have put on my vision board, what I put in my, in my future, now all of a sudden I need an external source to balance me out.
See? Yep.
I ain't never going to need to, I will never put myself in a position where I got to rely on you to show me my worth.
Right.
That ain't finna happen. And I'm going to tell you why that ain't finna happen. because I had a sister
Right.
that wanted to take my worth, take my value, and I had to fight through that. I had
Yeah.
to discover my worth because I've got this sister in my native land talking about, I ain't finna give you this space. I'm not finna give you that joy. I ain't finna make you feel good about what you do. So listen. If you ain't got no haters, then you really don't know how valuable you are.
You are.
So
Ooh, that's a bar.
I thank God for the hater that was born 4 years after I was born. The hater that was born 4 years
Shots
after
fired.
I was 4 years, 2 months, and 4 days. No, excuse me. 11 days, 12 days, there we go. There we go. And if I knew the hour in which my hater was born, I can tell you the hours. Well, let me Google map the distance. Hold on just a second. You go on and talk about the. I know that was the bottom line. The bottom line is this: walking through life, you're going to discover your worth.
Yeah.
And sometimes the world you live in will absolutely reveal what you need to discover in your worth. And that could be through relationships, that could be through trial and error, the risks you take. My thing is this: never stop discovering your value.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Never stop discovering your value.
I just want to add a parenting strategy, and this is something that speaks to the core of this of the counterpoint in terms of the world presenting their feedback, and then our job to keep discovering our worth. What I noticed, and I think I learned this actually from a few other parents who were back at FAMU with me, but I definitely implemented in how I raised Malachi. But I noticed that, when people talk to Kai, and they always point out the good things, and they would say, oh, Malachi, you're super helpful. You're so handsome. You're super kind. Like the things that they see that are great, I'd hear people saying that. And I decided to then start speaking to the parts that I knew he was working on, because I wanted to agree with them in where they were celebrating his positive traits, but I also wanted to speak life into the things that he's working on. So I'd be like, yeah, Malachi, you're so patient.
Right.
Malachi, you're such a great, because he's like, I hate reading. I was like, you're such a great reader, right? And that would be a strategy as a parent. So he can't continue to say, I'm not this based on what the world has presented, or I'm not this, or I'm only this, I'm only, because that becomes a problem too. If so many people tell you you're handsome, if so many people tell you you're cute, right? Then that can start to go in your head too. So it's the same strategy that I use in terms of parenting that we have to use within ourselves at times to if everyone is telling you you're great at these things, it's a thank you, and you continue to work at those. But the areas where they may tell you you're not so great, or the areas where they're not even speaking to, but it's part of the value that you have and part of the worth that you have, you got to speak to it and say, yes, son, you are patient. Yes, son, you're going to be an amazing, reader and writer. You keep speaking to that so that it continues to grow. And that is part of the discovery of your worth. Because if you don't speak to it and you don't, apply the value that says this will get better, this will improve. This doesn't have to stay here. Doesn't mean it's going to be my best thing, but it does mean I'm giving space for it to improve. I'm giving space for it to be the fullness of my authentic self, imperfections and all. Then I think that really is the bottom line, is that you learn the value of you being your authentic self, imperfections and all. And the only time that counterpart, I think, really becomes a major issue is when we're after perfectionism. Because like my bro said, the world is going to give you feedback. But if that feedback forces you into a space of perfectionism, then it's all bad, because none of us are perfect. And it creates, behaviors that we're just not interested in.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it.
All right. Well, let's get into this quick shot.
Okay. So I was, with what we're talking about, I knew I was going to find something I thought really was poignant as far as kind of wrapping this all up. And there's a tweet that I was reading, and what it said was I no longer apologize for being me. This means I won't apologize for my silliness. I won't apologize for my emotions. I won't apologize for my feelings. I won't apologize for my self-care needs. I won't apologize for my energy. I won't apologize for my choices. And I won't apologize for my quiet time. You're either with me or you're not. What I need you to do, if you want to be in my life, is value me. My experiences already validated me.
Ooh. Yep.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
I love it. So I think for me, I always went on a little sillier end because I love that kind of proverb or mantra or whatever it is. It says, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Right.
Because I do think when it comes to value, if nothing else, that we've tried to really kind of push for us all to understand that it is going to be an individual journey for you.
It is, yeah.
What's valuable for you, how you validate yourself, those experiences really should be unique. And so when you think about one man's trash, being another man's treasure.
Oh, Lord, I can see this one.
It can be an interesting space. Well, I don't know. So this is all specific to things that we create and design that make our life easier. Because again, that's the other thing too, is what we value are the things that make our life, I guess, better, I should say, not easier.
Okay.
So there are a couple of creations that some different people have made, some items, and I want you to determine if you think you can either say trash or treasure.
Oh, Lord.
Or you could say useful
or useless.
Okay. Yeah. Because for someone, they clearly made these things and put them out there for the world to partake in. So let's give it a try. All right.
Okay.
Here's the first one. A shower curtain with pockets for your cell phone or tablet.
Useless if the pockets are on the inside. Because, unless those pockets can hold rice, if you're an iPhone user, as soon as that joke can get one drop on it, you need a bag of rice. But then, by the time you finish the shower, you just done went all steamed vegetables in your shower, and you still got a broken iPhone. Useless. Absolutely useless.
Completely. And if the pockets are on the outside, what's the
Still
point?
useless. Still useless. I don't know who came up with this, but I'm really mad at the person who validated by purchasing this
treasure.
Useless pocket shower curtain.
Yes, it is. It is
Oh
selling
my
too.
God.
It's
my
their
God.
treasure.
It's like Amazon's top 10 purchase. You know what? Oh, so useless.
Yeah, and you guys can actually find these, just so you know. You can literally Google these. This is hilarious. All right, here's another one. Okay, so they call it a metal anti-safety chunk. Now, let me just tell you what this is. This is a little metal piece that is designed to fit where your seatbelt will click to prevent your car from beeping due to the fact that the seatbelt is not being used. You can buy it. I just want to know. Useful, useless, treasure, trash.
Oh, Lord Jesus. So I'm split in this one. I'm gonna tell you
Right.
why.
This was a good one. Yeah.
It's useless for the driver's side, but it's useful for the passenger side, depending on who is in your passenger seat. Listen. Not all accidents are accidents with this metal anti-safety tool. All I'm saying, it depends on who's in my passenger seat. I might want them to no, you ain't got to put on your seatbelt. What about the beep? Oh, here you go, click. No. All right. All right. Andre, you're driving a little too fast. I think you're going to hit that pole. I think you're going to hit the pole on my side, Andre.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I'm split on this one. That's
split.
where I'm going.
I was split, too. I was split because I said, well, it can be useful if, in fact, your car is broken. Like if it can't tell that no one's in the seat and it's broken, you may have to pay more to get the seat fixed and get that, sensor corrected, and it's cheaper to get the little metal block. I said, but then it's useless. Just connect your seatbelt. Like, don't pay no extra money. Just put your seatbelt in there. Ain't nobody got to be there but your seatbelt. You done paid money.
That's why you're too busy looking for validity from the guy driving next to you, talking about why does he have a seatbelt over his grocery bag?
Right.
Because I'm tired of the beeping. Don't judge me. I want my avocado
You're not in
to
here.
arrive
My sanity.
safely.
My sanity's at stake here. I love it. All right, here's another one. For those who love the smell of outdoors. So a perfume.
No, useless.
That smells like dirt.
Let me tell you something. I grew up with a mama that when I came in said, go take a shower. You smell like outside. Go take a shower. You smell like outdoors.
Like puppy dog.
so I'm going to tell you now, it has been embedded and etched in my psyche and in my emotional stability that anything that smells like outdoors needs a shower. No, useless.
I just want you to know you guys can actually buy everything I'm talking about. All right, let's do maybe
Lord.
2 more. Oh, this one here. Useless, useful, trash, treasure. Diet water.
Lord Jesus. Useless. Useless.
You can buy it.
No, useless. Oh, my God.
Because regular water is so high calorie, Andre. Gosh.
No, that mean if you getting water out the faucet and you live in Miami or Flint, Michigan,
okay, there we
yeah,
go. Right, that part.
yeah.
Any water, diet,
Right,
sugar added.
Right.
Just get any water.
So you mean that water is only useful in Flint, but for the
Right.
rest of the lower 48 states, useless. Man, you can go to the store and buy some of that Kroger brand.
No, Lord. And it it's so cheap, right? Get a whole case for $2. All right.
Okay.
Let's do let's do this one here. Reading glasses, but they're designed so you can read horizontally. So that means you can lay down, put the glasses on. The book can be flat on your legs, and the glasses come up vertically and reflect, so you don't have to lift your head or lift the book to read.
Is that a periscope?
It sound like it, doesn't it? It's like those reflector things.
That's like a periscope.
This is my point. If I want to lay down and go to sleep.
Right.
Why are you trying to read?
See, that's right.
Why are you trying to
useless. Because if I'm in that position,
Right.
reading is the last thing I'm trying to do.
I'm
Man, I
trying to
can name a
understand.
couple of things that I could do that I ain't
part.
that before reading. If that's what I'm doing,
If I gotta
useless.
do that?
Absolutely useless. Absolutely useless.
I will
What kind of contraption does that look like on my face
I'm
anyway?
just saying, you guys got to go Google what I'm saying. All of this stuff you can
Lord,
purchase
no.
right now.
Lord,
You can
no.
purchase it, and it is one man's treasure. Okay, respect.
Oh,
it.
my
All right,
gosh.
here's the last one, and then we'll end with this and move on. A book about the most epic YouTube video clips ever created.
Okay, now,
A book.
now, I'm probably gonna, get some clap back on this, but I actually would find that useful.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I spend my time scrolling through recommendations on YouTube. I cannot stand. Like, I don't understand why you're recommending me to see somebody in Timbuktu digging a hole in order to find goldfish in order to put in their tank that they made themselves in the Amazon and brought back through customs. Like, why do I want to see
that
this?
video.
Right? So give me a book so I can stop scrolling through recommended things. My algorithm is so jacked up on YouTube. Give me the book.
Okay.
Give me the book.
So then you
Give me
can
the
just
book.
highlight on your
That's
book and
it.
then go
That's
and then
it.
type it in
Go
and go
right
right
to
to
it.
it.
Go
I
right
feel
to
that.
it.
I feel that. As a visual person, I was like useless, but you actually gave it some justification. I love that. All right. So what we got for the final blow?
So for this one, I think, to be honest with you, Nick, I feel like the entire episode, what we've been trying to encourage everyone to see is that your validity is something that you already have in you. It's just what did you do with what you have? And your valuation ought to tell people where you're going with what you have. And it reminds me of then this one true fact. What God lets us know in the Bible is he says, I shaped you before the foundations of the earth. In other words, I made you valid before you failed. I made you valid before you got hurt. I made you valid before you got disappointed. And the fact that he said, I did this before the foundations of the earth, though, in your shaping means you've got a purpose and a future. So that means your value isn't always with where you are, it's where you're going. Because where you are might not be your stopping point. Where you are is where God wants to take you. So therefore, you got to be committed on your grind. You got to be committed for purpose. You got to be committed to be better, to go further, to go higher, and not just get stuck with where you are. Because when he shaped you before the foundations of the earth, he said, listen, I'm not sticking you in one place of the earth for you to stay there. I already put everything you need in you, so you don't need to see, or you don't need to hold all of your validation on people's opinions. You can learn from it, but I need you to grow because I did this for you before everything that might try to stop you, everything that might be a discouragement or a hurdle. So never stay stagnant where you are. You've got more value in you than where you are. And don't let the opinions of others cause you to feel that that's all that you're valid for. No, you are valid for where you're going before the opinion started, and where you are can't keep you back from what you value most in your future. Stay to your grind. Keep getting better. Keep improving. Keep going further. Keep going in the direction in which you are anointed, you're favored, you're graced to go.
I love it. That's a beautiful final blow. So, as always, we've come to the end of the episode. We are so glad you guys joined us for this ep. Please help us build the Savage Siblings community. Like, share, comment, review, rate, subscribe,
rate, all of that.
Send this to your favorite Savage sibling so we can build that community. Perhaps you have a trash or treasure experience or moment that you want to share, or you have a perspective on valuation and validation. We'd love to hear it. Share your thoughts with us. And of course, we have to shout out an amazing team of people who make this all possible. Dwayne McClendon and Kyle Davis, our sound editors. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. Ronnie Maxwell of Maxwell Music, our music producer. Keith Cross of K Cross Photography. Thank you as always for the amazing photos. And our parents, thank you for your DNA and all the funny life lessons. To you, the listeners.
Parentals, thank you.
Come on back and make sure you check us out for the next episode. We're always so glad you're here. And remember, don't go through life alone. We'll see you next time.
All right, y'all. Peace.